men's costumes. The man's cloak, bisht. The bisht is a sign of prestige and status. It is similar to a woman's cloak except that it is made of wool or camel's hair with less embroidery. It is a loose gown worn over the thawb when leaving the house on ceremonial occasions. The dagla is an old Islamic costume. It is open at the front from the neck to the chest, with two open slits in the side of the bottom hem. Made of fine cotton or woolen materials, it is worn only by the wealthier members of the society. Oh, not too clear. Sorry, not too clear. Men's daily clothes. In summer, men wear light cotton clothes with a loincloth and a light waistcoat, a cotton headdress, a summer cloak, and sandals. In winter, they wear heavier materials with a woolen waistcoat and woolen headdress. Some men wear a dagla or zibun, an ankle-length shirt. The kubar. The kubar was a type of Bahraini house which was used in winter. The walls were stone and the roofs were palm branches covered with woven mats, siam. The single room had a partition for the bath and niches in the walls for keeping utensils. Some rich people furnished it with rich carpet and fine furniture. Climate and the house. The Bahraini traditional house was well suited to resist the extremes of summer or winter. The thick coral stone walls and the use of local materials like clay and gypsum made the house cool in summer and fairly warm in winter. The courtyard and porticos increased air circulation, and the shade zones in the house limited glare penetration. To increase ventilation of the rooms, air movement from outside was captured and reinforced by the wind tower, Badger. The place of prayer. The Prophet Muhammad declared that any clean place was suitable for prayer, providing the prayers were directed towards Mecca. The first mosque built by the Prophet in Medina determined the basic shape. The minaret and mihrab were added later to distinguish it from other buildings. Traditional trades and crafts. Weaving. Traditionally, the villages at the center of the weaving industry, like Bani, Jamra, Makaba, Busaibi, and Al-Qadam, were very famous in the past. Raw materials such as cotton and gold and silver thread were imported. Pottery. Pottery is one of the most ancient traditional crafts of Bahrain. For centuries, the pottery industry has centered around Ali village. Funny enough, my children went there today. Rifa town and Kalali village were famous for making clay incense burners. Potters supplied the daily needs of the local inhabitants and exported surplus products to neighboring countries. The potters used clay available in the local surroundings. Pottery types. There were many different types of clay utility objects. Each was named according to its function or size, such as the halal, heap, boma, garash, and bok. all used for keeping and cooling water. Many other types of clay utility objects were made by potters. The potter also made the baker's oven and the big clay bowl, layan, used for kneading. Once tobacco was introduced by Bahrain, potters made the herbal bubble, Hido, popular in coffee shops. The village house. While men worked in the fields at sea or engaged in traditional crafts such as weaving cloth and making pottery, women's activities centered around the house. Here they took care of the children and animals and prepared food. Sometimes women helped their husbands in their crafts. Women were also involved in other crafts such as weaving, rush mat and basket, spinning and dyeing threads and cloth. They also prepared and sold nuts and milk products. Bahrain villages. There were three main types of villages in Bahrain. The first type is the coastal village such as Zalak and Budai, which related to the sea. The second type centered around the freshwater springs and the cultivated areas such as Bilad al-Qadim and al-Sihilil. The third type is a combination of the two mentioned types related to sea and agriculture in the same time, such as Al-Machia and Janusan. Yeah, the typical village of the Bahraini. You can see the women kneading, making food, preparing food. Bahrain village. Date palm tree raw materials. Bahrain was famous as the land of 1,000,000 date palm trees. The date palm has been blessed by God with gifts not found in other trees. Everything in it is useful to man. The dates are food for man and animal. The trunk and branches are used in building houses, boats, fish traps, and animal troughs. Its leaves were used to weave mats, fans, and baskets. The fibers were used to make ropes, and the thick bases of the branches were used as fuel. Basket making. Many villages in Bahrain were famous for baskets. Kababad and Budai were the most important villages for making baskets. In the past, the local craftsmen used this fine skill for making many cages and baskets. Rush mat weaving. The villages on Sitra Island and the eastern coast of Bahrain were the center of the rush mat weaving industry. The raw material asal was found in abundance nearby. These plants grew in the coastal salt marshes. The weaver cut the asal and left it to dry until ready for weaving. These rush mats were used in houses, mosques, coffee houses, buses, and shops. The weaving frame. The weaving frame was approximately 1.5 meters in length. There were many holes through which the ropes ran the length of the mat. The weaver could control the strength and density of the mat with these ropes. Two weavers usually worked on the weaving frame. Types of those. Bahrain was very famous in shipbuilding from ancient times. The most popular types of those were the jalibut, sambuk, bitil, bakara, and boom, and the later shoa, banush, and others. They were used for pearling and fishing. The larger sizes of these vessels were used for transporting cargo and passengers. Small jolly boats were used to ferry people between Bahrain islands and collect sea sand, stone, and slab stones to be used as building materials. Shipbuilding. The shipbuilder Galaf used simple tools such as the saw, hammer, drill, chisel, plumb line, rope and reeds. Teak was imported from India, and sometimes local wood was used for the ribs of the ship's skeleton. The chandler was the ship's supplier, where all supplies for building and repairing ships could be bought. Al-Amara could be found in the souks of Manama and Muharraq. Fishing. Methods of fishing differ according to prevailing conditions. For deep water, hooks and lines and large fishing cages were used. In medium deep water, fishing nets were used. For shallow waters, fish traps were set up. The hadra, made from the abundant palm branches, was the most important and ancient method of fishing. Ship crew. The big pearling ship carried between 60 to 80 sailors. Some of the duties included captain, captain's assistant, and the head of the sailors, singer, diver, puller, trainee, puller or driver's assistant, cook. At the end of the season, shares will be distributed according to their functions. For instance, the diver will take 2 shares, the puller 1 share only, while the singer will take 2 shares for his distinguished role on board. Pearls. Bahrain's pearls were internationally famous for their brilliance, clearness, and beauty. Pearls were classified according to size, shape, color, and luster. It is thought that the purity and beauty of the finest Bahraini pearl is due to their oyster beds located near the underwater sweetwater springs. Graduated sieves sorted the pearls into different sizes from ras, patin, file, and finally, to hit it, the smallest pearl. The most excellent pearl was the Jiwan, followed by the Yaka, Kulu, and Badley. The pearl merchant, Tawash, used very accurate scales and weights and recorded the pearl's values in a special logbook. The pearls are so beautiful. We have irregular, long Sijani, floral button, Baudelaire irregular, Sikh pearl, Zinat, mixed, Sijibasi. Evaluating book, per scale, object taken for external exhibition, copper bowls, blister pearls,